Yeah, that's a really good question. Everybody would like to, for example, take a pill and do better
Mhm.
at high altitude before you
Yeah.
come up. Uh, Being fit is really important, even though it's true it doesn't prevent altitude illness. But if you're unfit and it's a real slog to get into camp and you got a headache and your tummy isn't feeling so good, you're not sleeping, you're much more likely to pack it up. Whereas if you're fit, a headache may not bother you so much. You still get into camp. You still feel pretty strong. A little mountain sickness on the side won't bother you as much. The real danger is these is young guys who are super fit that can go really fast and think they're immune and therefore race up the mountain. And they're the ones that can really get the sickest and they carry the heaviest packs too. So you got to watch out for the macho or machette person that always wants to be in the front and is always carrying heavy and uh, because that'll come back to bite them. So what else can you do? Well, there's not a lot. For the higher altitudes, like in Nepal, a lot of the climbers will use hypoxic tents so what they do is they sleep in these tents that it's got a little oxygen machine that takes oxygen out of the air
Okay.
and pumps nitrogen in. So it simulates high altitude. You're sleeping in a lower oxygen environment. And, for a hunting trip, I don't think it's worth it. They're kind of expensive to rent. And to really get a benefit, you have to do it for at least a week or two, sleep in the tent for a week or two. You're much better off to go a day or two earlier and give your body time to adjust before really hitting it hard. Diet hasn't been shown to make much of a difference. It's important to stay hydrated when you get to altitude, but not overdo it with the water. Alcohol, you do not want to get drunk at high altitude. A beer is okay, maybe two, but no more than that because it depresses your breathing.
How does it do that?
Well, it acts directly on alcohol is a depressant. It acts directly on the
Mhm.
brain, and the respiratory center of the brain is one of the parts of the brain that it depresses. And so after a couple of beers, your oxygen level will be lower so you want to take it easy with the alcohol. Marijuana doesn't make any difference. And the way we judge any kind of medication or drug at altitude is how it affects the breathing. And the main one is alcohol. What else can you do? There's medication you can take. Like if you find out that, say you come out with your buddies each year and you're the only one that really gets sick, and it tells you you're more prone. That's just your genetics. You're more likely to get altitude sickness than everybody else. You can take a prescription medication called Diamox, and what that does, it speeds up your acclimatization. And it's like any medicine has side effects, but it's pretty well tolerated. But that's something you'd have to get from a doctor or from one of your buddies that got a prescription for it. And you would start it the day before you come out.
How does that work actually? How do you get climatized to an environment faster that you're not in?
Yeah, good question. So the during the process, it's all about breathing at high altitude. So when you come up here and you start to breathe more, you blow off carbon dioxide, and as a result, the pH of your blood goes up, and that tells your brain, "Oops, you're starting to breathe too much. You better slow down your breathing." The kidneys kick in and get rid of that extra. It's called alkalosis. They get rid of the alkalosis and bring your pH more towards normal. And as that happens, your breathing increases more. So it takes 4 days to maximize your breathing at an altitude. Whereas if you take Diamox, it takes less than 1 day because
Okay.
Diamox acts on the kidneys to lower the pH of your blood, and that stimulates your breathing. So
Okay.
it doesn't mask symptoms, but it does speed up that process of acclimatization.
Gotcha. So if you were to take that medication and let's say you suffered from it in the past and you took that medication and then you came out and maybe you went through a 24-hour climatization process, you would have a better likelihood of not getting sick.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Cool.
It drop your
Cool.
chances by about 50%. Not Won't drop them
Nice.
100%, but it'll drop them about 50%.
Yeah.